History is how we make sense of the past. In fact, the word itself breaks down quite easily into two others. His story, which is fitting because for most of history, the version we hear is just that, a story, passed down, rewritten, and reshaped by those in power, by victors, by whoever got to the pen first. But the truth is, history isn't set in stone. It's written in sand, shifting with every new discovery. One lost manuscript, one buried artifact, one skeleton in the wrong place, and suddenly, everything we thought was fact starts to look a little shaky. So let's dive into 15 times history was rewritten by a single discovery and see just how much we still have to learn. Number 15. The Cave of Altamira. Few single discoveries changed as much about our ideas of early human life as this Spanish cave. When the Cave of Altamira was discovered in 1880, it wasn't just another archaeological find. It was a time capsule from 20,000 years ago filled with the earliest known human-made art. Inside, the walls were covered with paintings of wild animals, human handprints, and abstract symbols. These weren't just random markings. They were deliberate, carefully crafted pieces of art. The discovery proved that early humans did more than just hunt or hoo-ha. They told stories, expressed themselves, and decorated their world. Before this, many believed prehistoric humans were too focused on basic survival to create art. The paintings at Altamira challenged that idea, showing that creativity and self-expression have been part of human life far longer than once thought. This Spanish cave didn't just add to history, it forced us to rewrite it. Number 14. A 1,000-year-old medicine pouch. Not every archaeological discovery comes with a neat little label explaining its purpose. Some, like this 1,000-year-old shaman's pouch, leave us piecing together ancient mysteries, and in this case, a recipe for one of the world's most powerful hallucinogenic brews. Unearthed in Bolivia's Cueva del Chileno, this well-preserved bundle contained traces of ayahuasca. If you don't know, well, it's a potent psychedelic tea traditionally used by indigenous groups in the Amazon. But the shocking part? The plants needed to make ayahuasca don't grow at such high altitudes, meaning whoever owned this pouch either had deep botanical knowledge or access to a vast trade network. Alongside the plant remnants, archaeologists found wooden tablets, a snuffing tube, llama bone spatulas, and, because why not, a pouch made from 3 fox snouts sewn together. Whether this shaman was a healer, a spiritual guide, or just the life of the ancient party scene, one thing's clear. Humans have been experimenting with mind-altering substances for a long time. Number 13. The Rosetta Stone. If ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs were a lost language, the Rosetta Stone was the ultimate cheat sheet. Before its discovery in 1799, scholars could only guess at what the intricate symbols meant. Then, thanks to some of Napoleon's soldiers casually digging up history while fortifying a fort, everything changed. The stone contained a single decree written 3 times, in Greek, Demotic script, and Egyptian hieroglyphs. Since scholars could already read Greek, this stone became the key to unlocking the forgotten language of the pharaohs. It took 23 years to fully crack the code, but once it was deciphered, a whole world of ancient texts suddenly became readable. Without the Rosetta Stone, we'd still be staring at temple walls and papyrus scrolls like confused tourists with a menu in a foreign language. Instead, it gave us access to centuries of Egyptian history, myths, and daily life, proving just how powerful a well-placed translation can be. Number 12. Hidden text on blank Dead Sea Scrolls. You'd think a blank piece of ancient parchment wouldn't be worth much, right? Well, turns out, those blank fragments of the Dead Sea Scrolls were hiding long-lost biblical text, just waiting for modern technology to bring them back to life. Discovered in the 1940s and 50s near Jerusalem, the scrolls are among the earliest known texts of the Hebrew Bible. But recent research using multispectral imaging, basically high-tech ancient text detection, revealed lines of writing invisible to the naked eye. "It's like finding missing pieces of a jigsaw puzzle under the sofa," said King's College professor Joan Taylor. While scholars are still deciphering the text, some believe these newly uncovered lines might be linked to the Book of Ezekiel. Unlike the modern-day scandals involving fake Dead Sea Scroll fragments, this discovery is the real deal, a testament to how technology keeps reshaping our understanding of ancient history. Number 11. The Antikythera mechanism. When sponge divers stumbled upon an ancient shipwreck off the Greek island of Antikythera in 1901, they weren't expecting to find a 2,000-year-old computer. But that's essentially what they pulled from the sea, a rusted, gear-filled device that still baffles scientists today. Dubbed the Antikythera mechanism, this intricate gadget is believed to be the world's oldest analog computer, designed to track celestial movements and predict astronomical events. Considering it dates back to at least 204 BCE, it raises a huge question. How advanced was ancient technology, really? The craftsmanship and complexity of the mechanism suggest the ancient Greeks were far ahead of their time in engineering and astronomy. Some even wonder if this was just one of many such devices lost to history. But forget the what-ifs. The fact that this ancient calculator still exists at all is a marvel in itself. Our ancestors were pretty smart cookies. Number 10. A 299,000-year-old skull. Back in 1921, a mystery skull was unearthed in a Zambian cave. Originally thought to be 500,000 years old, it sat in museum storage for decades, until modern researchers gave it another look. Turns out, it was nearly 300,000 years old, and it changed everything we thought we knew about early humans. Belonging to the Homo heidelbergensis species, the skull's new dating means this species overlapped with early Homo sapiens for a long time. This suggests multiple human ancestors were coexisting in Africa at the same time, raising even more questions about how modern humans emerged. The skull had another surprise: traces of a thin mineral coating that had been scraped off and misplaced for years. Once recovered, it helped researchers pinpoint its age with greater accuracy. This discovery didn't just tweak human history, it reopened debates about who we really evolved from and how many cousin species we might have lost along the way. Number 9. The oldest story in history was written in Indonesia. When people think of ancient storytelling, they usually picture myths passed down verbally or scratched onto stone tablets. But the oldest known story ever recorded? Well, that's a 43,900-year-old cave painting on the Indonesian island of Sulawesi, proving that humans were telling tales long before writing even existed. Discovered in the cave of Liang Bulusipong 4, this artwork doesn't just depict animals, it tells a story. The mural shows a game drive, where hunters appear to be driving animals toward a trap. But here's where things get interesting. The hunters aren't fully human. They have animal-like features, which could mean they were either wearing masks or represent therianthropes, beings that exist in both the human and spirit world. If that's the case, this cave painting isn't just history's first recorded story. It's also the earliest evidence of spiritual belief. The fact that it was found in a cave 9.8 feet off the ground, with no signs of human habitation, suggests it may have been a sacred site, possibly a place where ancient humans gathered to tell stories, pass down myths, or even perform rituals. Number 8. AI analyzed ancient poop. You probably don't think much about fossilized poop, or at least we hope not. But for some archaeologists, these ancient remains, called paleofeces, are like time capsules, offering clues about what people ate, how they lived, and even what diseases they had. For years, researchers have used these samples to study human diets. But there was one big problem. A lot of what they thought was human poop actually came from dogs. Then came AI, a tool that can finally tell human and dog feces apart. Developed by Christina Warrener and her team at Harvard, this AI program analyzes microbiomes from modern dog and human waste and then applies that knowledge to ancient samples. This means they can now accurately track human diets through history, connecting ancient eating habits to modern health issues like diabetes. In other words, a bunch of AI-powered poop analysis just rewrote parts of what we thought we knew about ancient civilizations. And if that's not an unexpected plot twist in archaeology, we don't know what is. Number 7. The pyramid builders were not slaves. For centuries, the idea that Egypt's pyramids were built by slaves has been taken as fact. The image of thousands of laborers, chained and whipped under the scorching sun, is practically ingrained in popular culture. But in 1990, an unexpected discovery changed everything. A tourist stumbled upon a set of burial plots near the pyramids, revealing the final resting places of the workers who built these colossal structures. But slaves didn't get tombs. Not only were these workers buried close to the pharaoh's pyramids, but they were also buried with provisions like bread and beer to take into the afterlife, something reserved for honored individuals. This discovery proved that the people who built the pyramids weren't enslaved laborers, but skilled workers who were likely paid for their efforts. It flipped the narrative on its head and gave us a new perspective. These weren't nameless, suffering slaves. They were craftsmen, engineers, and laborers like you and me who do 6 to 9 jobs, just with a really big project on their hands. Number 6. Neanderthals were artists too. For decades, Neanderthals got a bad rap, portrayed as dim-witted, club-wielding cavemen who were eventually outsmarted by Homo sapiens. But recent discoveries like painted seashells in Italy are proving that Neanderthals may have been more like us than we ever thought. These decorated shells were dated to a time before Homo sapiens even arrived in Europe. That means it wasn't us making art, it was them. The shells had traces of pigment, suggesting that Neanderthals intentionally painted them, not for survival, but for artistic or symbolic purposes. This challenges the long-standing idea that creativity and symbolic thought were exclusive to modern humans. If Neanderthals were making art, they weren't just brute survivors. They were thinking, expressing, and possibly even telling stories, much like the ancestors of modern humans. This discovery, along with others like Neanderthal cave paintings in Spain, forces us to rethink everything we assumed about early human intelligence. So, never judge a book by its cover. Number 5. Incan mummies. The Incan Empire was known for its human sacrifices, but how they were performed remained a mystery, until 3 perfectly preserved mummies were found in Argentina in 1999. The bodies, belonging to kids aged 4, 5, and 13, provided an eerie glimpse into this ancient ritual. Forensic tests showed the children were given massive amounts of maize beer and coca leaves, enough to leave them heavily sedated. Once unconscious, they were taken to a mountaintop and left to die in the freezing cold. This chilling discovery confirmed what historians suspected but couldn't prove. Sacrificial victims weren't just killed, they were drugged into a state of near coma before their deaths. The Incas likely saw this as a way to offer them peacefully to the gods. The sheer preservation of the bodies allows modern scientists to examine their last moments, turning a historical mystery into a harrowing reality. All right, guys, now let's talk about the most famous one. Number 4. The Library of Alexandria. The destruction of the Library of Alexandria is often portrayed as one of history's greatest tragedies, a catastrophic fire wiping out centuries of knowledge. But new evidence suggests that the real culprit wasn't flames, it was budget cuts. Researcher Luciano Canfora uncovered ancient scrolls written by library workers, describing how texts were gradually transferred, neglected, or lost due to lack of funding. As government support dried up, the library's vast collection slowly crumbled. While Julius Caesar's attack on Egypt may have caused some damage, the library had already been declining for centuries. By the time the final remnants were destroyed in 642 CE, it wasn't a thriving institution, it was a shadow of its former self. So rather than a dramatic moment of destruction, the greatest library of the ancient world faded out of existence, one missing scroll at a time. Number 3. Cat remains. For a long time, historians thought ancient Egyptians were the first to domesticate cats, around 4,000 years ago. But a discovery in China pushed that timeline way back. Archaeologists found wildcat remains dating back over 5,000 years near farming settlements. These cats weren't just wandering through, they were living alongside humans, likely drawn by rodents feasting on stored grain. Over time, humans realized cats were great pest control, and the relationship evolved. This suggests that cats domesticated themselves. Humans didn't breed or train them. Instead, the most sociable and least aggressive cats stuck around, while humans started tolerating, and eventually loving, their presence. So, before they became internet celebrities and couch royalty, cats were simply taking advantage of an easy food source. Turns out, they didn't just find their way into our homes, they invited themselves in. Well, we just love cats. Number 2. Ancient African coins. James Cook is credited with discovering Australia in 1770, but a 900-year-old mystery suggests he may not have been the first outsider to arrive. Archaeologists found 5 African coins in Australia's Northern Territory dating back to the 12th century. If that wasn't strange enough, other discoveries, including cave art and more ancient coins, suggest traders from Africa, India, China, and even Europe may have reached Australia long before Cook. While there's no solid proof of direct trade routes, these artifacts hint at an ancient global network far older than we thought. Whether accidental landings or intentional voyages, these findings challenge the Eurocentric version of Australia's discovery and suggest the continent may have had visitors long before the British arrived. Number 1. A giant stone carving revealed new Mayan gods and rulers. In 2013, archaeologists in Guatemala uncovered a massive stone carving that reshaped our understanding of Mayan civilization. This wasn't just any artwork. It featured entirely new gods never seen before, along with insights into how Mayan rulers passed down power. The carving, remarkably well preserved, detailed previously unknown deities that added new layers to what we thought we knew about Mayan mythology. Even more intriguing, it documented how political power shifted between ruling factions, offering a glimpse into a complex system of governance. What made this find even more extraordinary was the traces of the original paint still visible on the stone. Unlike many ancient ruins that have faded over time, this carving gave researchers a rare look at how vividly colored Mayan art once was. Well, hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.